Welcome to this episode of 3Ps in a Pod about purpose, pathways, and perspectives. I'm Lenora, your host. Thank you for joining me. I hope you subscribe to this podcast, rate this podcast, and listen every week. I have an author that is a favorite of mine because his book, The People Code, was absolutely a transformational book for me. I was amazed at the epiphany I got, and I explained in the episode why it made such a big difference and how I find out about it. But something unique about this episode, I actually make a mistake right at the beginning. I didn't hit record when I thought I did, and yet it works out. We have a good laugh about it, and I left a couple things in on purpose because it was an actual demonstration of the People Code because this will make more sense later, but I'm a blue-yellow combo, and Dr. Hartman is a yellow. So that's a pretty playful personality. There's a point where he teases me. I left that in too on purpose when I had an echo in my mic. That's something normally I would probably edit out, but I left it in because if I didn't know how playful he was, I would have wondered why he was so spunky with me, which was just fun. Keep in mind, we met right when we started the Zoom call. Otherwise, we had communicated by email. So I absolutely loved having a fun time with him and having a conversation that I thoroughly enjoyed in a book that literally has impacted my life ever since I read it. I really hope you enjoy this episode. And I hope you understand as we come out of the mistake that it all makes sense to you. And again, I hope you enjoy some of the great things that have stayed with me ever since I read The People Code. And you can get a hold of Dr. Hartman on his website, taylorhartman.com. Links to his website will also be in the podcast notes. But I sure had a lot of fun with this episode, and I hope you enjoy.
My goal was to be able to get people through understanding mental health in a healthy way, in a positive way, and more proactively. So I'm doing this work and I have this whole thing kind of put together. And then all of a sudden I have this horrendous car accident, like unbelievably. I can't even explain. I am not ever depressed. I was so depressed that I was suicidal. I lost everything. My mind was gone. I couldn't remember anybody who they were. My wife, God bless her, I had just given her a mink coat for our Valentine's Day. And so when they came around to me, they said, he's dead. Don't worry about him. And came around to her side, and she was damaged pretty badly physically. But she said, they said, cut the coat off. And she said, whoa, wait a minute. Let's work with my coat.
Wow. So this is when they came up to the accident.
Yeah. So they didn't like a half an hour later, right? So then I recovered after time, and I realized.
But wait, you said they thought you were dead?
Yeah, they said he's dead. Don't worry about him.
And then they obviously found out you weren't. And
I wasn't dead, right? Took me to the hospital. And I mean, I can't even explain to you how bad I was. I love my kids. I'm a yellow. Come on, I'm Mr. Mom, right? But I couldn't stand anybody. My kids, I was so depressed. I was miserable. And I called my wife at one point and said, I think I'm going to go tonight. So I'm just saying goodbye. And it was like, I was so suicidal. And I've never in my life experienced that. And so I'm very empathetic with people now when they get so dark. Because the yellow, I never understood that. Like, how could you be sad about everything?
Because yellows are very playful.
So playful and upbeat and positive and always believe the best will work out, right? So that was very helpful to me to realize that my driving core of who I was innately had been stolen from me and how much it meant to me. And that's why this book means the world to me, to get out to people and say, whether your parents are what they are or not, or your friends are what they are or not, you're born with this beautiful, intact personality. And then life colors it, like depending on where you're born, which birth rate, what birth order, or male or female, or all those things impact you. Some people have traumatic childhoods, some have wonderful childhoods, but just so you know, you come with your personality intact.
You're kind of wired a certain way.
You are wired a certain way.
And the better you understand who that is, kind of connect with that natural way of wiring, the easier it is for you to navigate with your skills and then build those, but stay true to who you are.
100%. My mom was total red. Reds are dominant. They take charge. They run the show. You don't cross them and live. I mean, they're very, very bold. And so I thought I was red.
Mm,
And I was just very yellow, playful, social, all that kind of stuff. But I thought red was what you had to be to
mm.
succeed. So I'm writing the book. I've got the book out there. I'm
And you
sitting.
wrote the book how far after the accident?
Well, I had written a lot of the book before the accident, so
Oh,
mostly not most of it was like written before, and then I finalized things afterwards, about 3 months afterwards. So I'm saying to my wife, I think I'm a red, and my wife goes, "Red? Are you kidding me? You're the author of this. You're not red." I said, "I am. I'm very successful. I have my office on the beach. I have my office, and clients are full." And she goes, "Taylor, your office is where?" I said, "It's on the beach." She goes, "Where do you go if a client doesn't come?" I said, "I go to the beach. I have 45 minutes to enjoy myself." She goes, "Would a red do that?" I said, "Oh my gosh, I had believed something that I'm not at all, right? But I thought I had to be that."
to
So
be
it's kind of,
successful.
yes, exactly, exactly. So it's kind of an aha even for me. Once you
Wow.
see yourself right, you're like sitting in an old comfortable chair. It's like just feels right.
Yeah.
I was lecturing one time, Lenore, to a group of people, and this Chinese man, 94 years old, came up to me and he begged me, "Stop for just a moment. Let me talk to you." So I talked to him, and with tears in his eyes,
Hmm.
he said, "I will never know who I am. I was raised to be a red. That's all I know. And it's been so many years, I can't know anymore who I was." Broke my heart. Clearly, he
Wow.
wasn't a red, or he would have said, "I'm fine with it," right? But he didn't know what he was because people had not allowed him to see himself.
Wow.
So,
Because there's a certain way that they thought you were
right.
supposed to be.
That's correct.
Wow.
Right.
And I have to tell you that at the beginning, I was so enthusiastic about clicking record that it started recording partway through, but I didn't click the second button. So I missed that introduction of what I got.
Even more.
That was my yellow. Like too excited and missed a detail. So
Oh my God. That is so yellow. That is yellow. Yes.
what I'm gonna do is start from how I came in intact, connected to this story. But your story of the accident right before then, I saw what I did and clicked, and so I
Oh,
caught all of that.
okay. Okay. That's
Thank
great.
God.
Good play. Well done.
Yeah. So so I'm gonna say here that I'm so happy to have Dr. Taylor Hartman on this episode because how I came in contact with your book, and I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna fix some editing the an error I made earlier, is we had a great little conversation and I didn't click all of the record buttons, so I missed part of it. We're redoing that, but that comes out a little bit as a part of my personality.
Yeah.
But so here's how it went, how I came in contact with your book.
Yes.
I met someone, a man who was in sales, and he said he did a lot of study about people. He learned, did a lot of reading. We found out we both had taken this people code test.
Right.
And I said, I'm a blue yellow combo. He said, oh, that's really interesting because those are kind of opposites. And there's a lot of conflict there. I said, what do you mean? And he
Yeah.
names rapid fires, these three things that are total contradictions in the blues and the yellows. Like,
Yeah.
well, blues can be controlling, yellows won't be controlled.
Right.
Blues are all about connection. Yellows can be just more, they're great to connect with, but they don't like commitment necessarily.
Right.
And I was like, wait, what? You just explained me. And I didn't understand some of these conflicts that I did have inside. And I said,
Great.
okay, wait a minute, what book is this? And I'm going to show this in audio, but I have it up on the Zoom camera right now. It's The People Code by Dr. Taylor Hartman. It's all about your innate motive. And I went, I have to read this book.
Good for you.
Yeah. And so I've been a huge fan of it. My kids will tell you, friends could tell you that I've told them, you need to read this book
Yeah.
because there are ways we are wired. And it has helped me not get offended with people. It's helped me
Good.
understand coworkers, bosses, siblings, my own kids, myself, where I went, oh, it's given me this like map that, or this real little, I don't know,
Clarity.
easy way to a filter that I can look and go, and I won't know exactly. Sometimes I do have a hard time going, I'm not sure what color they are.
Yeah.
But others I'll go, oh, they're a
Yeah.
flaming red, or
Yeah.
there's a flaming yellow,
Yep.
or maybe some combination, but it helps me know, how do I approach somebody, or why they approach things in a certain way that's so different from how I
Yes.
would approach.
Yes. Well, for example, can we just talk about what you did? Like when you
Yeah.
didn't press the button. It's a classic example of a red personality who would feel like a failure right now. How could I not have done that? Like they would not do well with that, right?
Right.
A blue would not be able to carry on like you're carrying on. They would. Your yellow has allowed you to say, "I'll make mistakes," right?
I've
Blues are
gotten better.
yeah, no, that's good for you because blues are hard on themselves. They're very, very guilt driven. I'm not good enough when they're excellent, right? And a
Right.
white would never have said a word. They would never said a word about it. They would have known it, but they wouldn't have said it, right? So it's interesting how just
Mhm.
that alone, that example is a great example of how we're all different.
Oh, I've had an executive I work with off and on, and he is so strong red.
Mhm.
He is so smart
Yes.
and very driven. And actually, I know a lot of people like that.
Yep.
And I realized, because also a former boss that I had that I know is very strong and red. And other
Yes.
people would think, oh, he's never insecure. And I thought, oh,
Yes.
you don't get it. They have a harder time being vulnerable.
Yes.
But trust me, I could see their humanity. And
Yes.
I was shocked that they thought there was no vulnerability in this person. And I went, oh, you're missing him by a
Yeah.
mile.
Yeah. The essence of them.
Yeah. And so it's just powerful to help,
Well,
because every strength has its weakness.
right.
Every single color is very valuable. You see how come, oh my gosh, this is why we need each other.
Right.
And yet each side has its weakness. And depending, like you said, depending on how you were raised, can you
Right.
say more about that? How you're raised, how it will impact what that innate personality might be.
Yeah. Well, for example, if you're like, say you're in birth order, you're the oldest child, you're always going to be more responsible than the last child.
Right.
So if
Yeah.
you're a yellow and you're a firstborn, you're going to get more responsibility taught to you than if you're the last child and you're a yellow. Then you're just
Hmm.
adored, right? And
Yeah.
so, and it's interesting. Like reds, for example, you talked about that. Reds think they are right and they feel they have to look good to the world, so they will raise their kids to look a certain way to represent them.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Whereas other personalities, like a blue, is more interested in you being good. Like they want you to learn the moral high ground of what
right.
life's really all about. Yellows want to enjoy you. They want to have fun and go do things with you. So we're different in that phenomena. Whites are far more likely to be kind, but not
Mm,
bossy, not directive, right? And so depending on the home you're raised in, I mean, you're going
hmm.
to have a different filter as to who you think you are and how you should be. My mother, the flaming red, loved my yellow playfulness, loved it. So that gave me carte blanche. I could always get away with things that way, right? But I also knew certain things you had to do to not get her angry. My home, my wife's blue and I'm yellow. So she literally is the rule abider, gets everything organized and perfect. And then I would come home from late night at school or whatever and get all the kids out of bed. And we go marching and having playtime. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding?" I said, "Well, would you rather I not have a relationship with my kids?" Which she couldn't say yes to. So she allowed me to do that kind of stuff. I'm the disruptor, but the playful one. At
Mm.
the end of the day, though, I always supported her. Always said, mom calls the shots. So that's how we worked it out, right? I think the blues, by the way, are living like 4 lifetimes to my one is yellow because things you go through, you feel everything so intensely.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's true. Cause my core is blue with a
I,
strong yellow.
yeah.
And I realize, oh my gosh, yes, I'm all about connecting. I want to connect. I want to make a difference. I care about integrity. It's like, you're right. I want everyone, how would everyone not care about this? And yes, the stinking struggle with guilt. So trust me, this has helped me untangle some of that and go, stop it. And sadly, that it was a pretty strong factor in our family. And so all three of us, I have two siblings, and we've all talked about how, oh, we're well trained in the guilt thing.
Yeah.
So you have to go, no, I'm not guilty. I'm
Good for
actually
you.
doing well. So
Oh, I
it's,
like that, by the way. That talking to your heart with your
yeah,
mind, that
yeah.
irrational thinking, that's so healthy and not easily done, by the way. Every color has so many good gifts that I just love about them. Like reds were my hardest color. I would say to God, just take them home, let us enjoy ourselves for a while. And today, because I did my work on red, like I became responsible. I showed up. I spoke the truth. I was very direct, right? I don't have a red in my life I don't get along with. Well, here's what I've learned about them, Lenore. You kind of mentioned it earlier. Reds fear failure so much. They're so hard on themselves. They've got to perform all the time. Their insecurity is so real. Now, they're never going to tell you that because that makes them vulnerable. But once I saw that, I'm like, stop beating them up. They're like
Yeah.
pack mules marching up the hill, carrying all this heavy stuff, right? So you, yellow, can go play. So
Mm.
stop beating them up for that. It was very freeing for me.
Wow. That's, oh, I'm hearing an echo all of a sudden. Are you hearing an echo?
No, your voices too.
Like, hmm. Okay. It seems like it's gone. My mic was feeding back for a second.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But because of how I did start this, I want to go back to a comment I don't think we recaptured when I restarted things.
Okay.
And that is, how did you get into writing this book, which is called The People Code?
Okay, so really how it started for me was I saw a lot of people. I was very busy and I saw a lot of men, and they all wanted answers. They did not want to talk about things. And I was taught just to talk, like kind of help them bring their things out to the table and work it through with them. So I really liked that thinking. And I went back for my PhD to learn better ways for being more efficient and effective in mental health
Mm.
and more proactive, not like reactive to it. So I was coming up with something, working with my clients at the time I was writing this, and then I had this serious car accident where the car, literally the guy that was pushed into us by a drunk driver,
Mm.
he actually died at the scene of the accident, which is horrible. Young boy, 19,
Oh, wow.
and I lost my mind. I did not know who I was. They came to the car maybe a half an hour after it happened, and they noticed that I was like passed out, and they said, he's dead, just move on, which I didn't know this, but my wife told me this later.
Wow.
And it was just a horrible time, honestly, in my life. I was not happy. I never smiled. I couldn't stand my children.
After you came recovered?
While I was recovering, that first 3 months, I was miserable. I wanted all the curtains dark in my home. I was hallucinating. It was a horrible time. And I remember feeling suicidal.
Mm.
And it was my wife that was the only one I trusted to pull me out of it. People would come to visit and she would tell me who they were,
Oh, wow.
so that I would have an idea of who they were at the time. I was very flat. I had you can tell my voice is very all over the place. Not then. It was very flat. So it was a dark time for me. And Lenora, what it did for me is it helped me realize there are things about me that are personally mine. And to have that taken away from me was horrendous.
Mm.
And it made me even more committed to this work of teaching people they have innate gifts. They come with them. The motive of what drives them, for me, it's fun. For you, it's intimacy. To take that away from someone is like cutting off a leg, or even worse than that, because it's your core of who you are. And then to see somebody actually choose to deprive themselves of it was even worse. I couldn't comprehend why somebody who is a blue would choose not to be intimate when that's the essence of who you are.
Mm.
So my work got more and more engaging, as you can imagine, with my experience with the accident as well.
No kidding. So how long did it take, or how did you get back to being who you are more wired to?
I feel fortunate that I could get back to this, because honestly, they didn't think I would. But it took me about 6, 8 months to kind of get back to myself before I could actually function again. I'm not myself like I used to be. Even now, it's hard to kind of believe. But I was like Mr. Mom, that movie that was done. I was just fun. Levity was constant in my life. But now I'm a little more serious, and I think some of that came from that accident. So I'm not fully recovered, but I'm certainly competent to function in life, and life's good. And I'm much more yellow, that again. But it did have a huge impact on my life, for sure. So
Yeah.
I remember about a year later, I was not fully recovered yet. We went back and the doctor said, okay, so can you count backwards from 100 to 0 by 7? Well, I'm not good at math, I said, so that won't help you. So who's the president? And I told him a president that was like 40 years ago. And he
Oh,
goes,
wow.
oh my, you're not better yet. So I have great empathy for people that lose who they are, right? Whether it's like my case, physical, or in many people's cases, their emotional well-being. They just forget who they are. They don't live their life true to themselves.
That's very powerful and very true. And over time, because I've been a trainer for years and I work in a program that helps young people and veterans, but I worked actually a ton of the time with people inside of a corporate network or a nonprofit organization. So I get to meet many, many different people.
Yes.
And this work helps me. It's kind of ends up being when you understand the principles of these 4 core motivations and all the combinations. I love how you say in the book, it's kind of like someone's face. Pretty much everyone has 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth.
Right.
So there's like the 4 basics right there, but they can be put together so many different ways.
Correct.
It was a great analogy, and I love analogies
Yeah.
in this book of how people have this innate wiring, these 4 major kind of motivations, and yet they can be put together so many different ways and so many different percentages of which way you might be one versus the other, but everyone has a core one. Maybe we should do this. Can you kind of say a summary of what each of those 4 core motivations are?
Sure. So let's start with the red because they get angry if I don't. I actually love to start with them because people know reds. They're pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
But reds are driven by power. And power means simply getting from A to B. It doesn't mean what people think. They often say, oh, you mean controlling? And I'm like, well, actually, blues are more controlling than reds are. Blues control from the morality of things. Things have to be done right. Everybody should be. Reds just want things affecting them to be done. But reds are power-based. That means if you're like you're lazy or you don't show up when you say you will or whatever, that's like a road bump for them. You're an obstacle. They want to get from A to B, right? The blues come along, and blues and reds are the heavyweights of the personality profile, right? Blues are driven by intimacy. All they want to do is connect. If you're not connecting, what are you doing? So you can make a ton of money, but you're not connecting.
That's so me.
Well, and you understand that, how important it is, right?
Yeah.
Those 2 people spend their entire life trying to control others. Like they're on a mission from God to make us all come to the light and do the right thing, right? Then you have the yellows and the whites. And the yellows are driven by fun. And all that means is they love doing what they're doing simply for the sake of doing it. Very childlike. Like, let's just enjoy today. Well, what are we celebrating? We're celebrating that we're alive. They're very playful that way. And the whites, they're driven by peace, the absence of conflict. They do not want to have a negative experience. So they'll often just be buttoned up. They're more quiet, right? Those 2, whites and yellows, spend their entire life refusing to be controlled. So the beauty of this is that if you are a blue or a red and you want to be impactful, right, learn how not to control in order to control. And if you're a yellow or a white, learn when to allow yourself to be controlled because you need what they offer. That's when life gets better for everybody.
It's so good. And I know there's a lot more to each of those color codes of that. There really is. I highly recommend. It's fascinating to read to me. Of course, I'm a blue, so I wanted to make sure you
Yours
connect
would
with
be
me.
improving, right? But
Yes. Oh my gosh.
no, I can't imagine why somebody wouldn't want to understand the landscape of life.
Yeah.
If you look at people as the landscape, knowing this will just free you to understand so much more about your life, who you're with.
Yeah, and it helps you not be offended that somebody approaches things so differently, and you begin to recognize, oh my gosh, you can see why we need each and every one of these. And thank you for saying that power is different. People have turned power into some bad word. I think the reds, they're incredibly effective, incredibly driven, but that doesn't mean they're trying to steal everything from you. Like you said, they want to get somewhere. They love a challenge. They want to be effective. They're smart. But in my experience,
they're typically very smart, by the way.
Yeah.
They're in jeopardy. But you know what's sad about this is that bad reds give good reds a bad name.
Yep.
Bad blues give good blues a bad name. You're right about that. That's true. Right. But you don't have to be a bad person in your color. You can be a good one in your color, right?
Yeah. And you absolutely need them all. You need people that help you just play and relax and enjoy life and understand how the simplest things can be so fun.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, and those that don't value yellows, they don't have that. They literally took themselves off, right? Those that don't value blues, they miss the depth of what they could gain. I mean, everybody loses if they dismiss a color.
Yeah. Yeah. And every personality has great strengths, and they can have huge weaknesses.
100%. And let's just look at some of those for a minute. That'd be kind of fun for your listeners to hear.
Yeah.
So like reds by nature, okay, they're very responsible. They're like pack mules. They get things done. They take care of business. They're very efficient. They speak their mind. You kind of have a sense where they're at. And their vision. I mean, I love reds because I have money I would not have. I was living like you live for today and you spend your money and that's what you do. And they were like, you have children, like they're going to need a future in college, and their
Mhm.
vision they have is so remarkable, which is why some of them on the negative side struggle with vacations because they're
Mm.
always living in the future, right? And what they're
Mm.
going to be getting done, right? The other sides of the negative for the red is they can be too demanding, too bossy. They put people off by their intensity,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Then you have blues. Nobody cares more than a blue. I mean, they just care so deeply.
Yeah.
I remember when I wrote about my wife in the Character Code book, and on my podcast, I even talked about this because it's so real, right?
And the name of your podcast?
It is Very Best of Living.
Mm.
You can get it anywhere. It's like on all whatever the forum is that you get your podcast from.
Yeah.
Very Best of Living. So she literally taught my daughter to believe in herself, that she could spell when she couldn't. She was dyslexic. And I kept saying, well, she can't spell in the spelling bee because she's dyslexic. My wife said, if she wants to spell, she'll spell. So we all did her spelling bee with her for a month. She won, which is a bizarre moment.
Wow.
And she said when she ran for cheerleader and made it years later, I did that because mom taught me I could be what I wanted to be. That caring. Blues care, they're genuine, their integrity is remarkable. The negative side of blues, they take things personally. Like everything's personal to them. Like they feel like it's their problem or whatever, right? I think their biggest weakness for me as a yellow is they have unrealistic expectations. They want to live the best life. They think we all should live a best life. We don't need that best life. We're fine where we are, but they impose that, to be honest, and the shoulds. I'm going to write a country western song someday for blues saying, take your shoulds and shove them. You should be, right? Whites, the best gift, period, is kindness. It's amazing to me, their kindness. I'm just not that kind. In fact, that's my word I'm working on this year. Kindness to whites is just second nature. They don't say things that don't need to be said. And they allow people kind of space. Patience is a huge white gift. I always say the best color for kids is yellow because we all accept they're playful. Best color for home is blue. The connections. Best color for business is red. Get things done. And the best color for grandparenting is white because they can allow people to be themselves, right? Whites are also great clarity. Ask a white what they see. They'll not tell you unless you ask them. Negative side for whites get stuck. They get passive aggressive. They get stubborn. They will not do something if they don't want to do it. And they won't tell you they're not doing it. They just won't do it, right? And they can be very silent. Like they're not necessarily sharing a whole lot because they think about it for too long. And then they miss the moment. Yellows, their fun part is that they are very playful. Like they love to tease and engage. They love the moment. Yellows see what's right in everybody, not what's wrong. They're just fine with you as you are. You don't have to be different for them to like you. Negative side yellows are very irresponsible. They excuse themselves all the time. I should have, but I didn't. It's no big deal. I'm yellow, Or they are very disorganized. Like there's a place for everything. I don't know where that place is, but I'm sure it exists, right? And they don't do good follow through. Like a lot of yellows will say, oh, I'll call you. I know when they say it, they're not going to call me. They're not lying to me. They'll just forget about it. So that gives you a little bit of a rundown on some of them.
Yeah, gosh. And it's just so accurate. I have to think of some of the people that I work with. This is a good reminder, even right now. I went, you know what, Lenora, you've been taking a few things too personal. And I knew I was.
Yeah.
I thought, why am I all of a sudden, it's just been getting me, which normally I navigate that pretty well. And I went, okay, what are you feeling so insecure about right now that everything is falling into that hole and you're trying to go down the drain with it of like, nobody's meaning anything. I looked at what was said and I went, nothing was said. No one was rude. Why the heck do you feel like you were rejected?
Congratulations. Your ability to say, what am I being insecure about? As opposed to why did they, right? You can own you can't own them. I love that. That was so good.
Well, I'm either going to spin here myself or find a way out of it. And the more you understand others, it was such an epiphany when I saw that, like a good friend of mine, we worked together for some years. And I remember one time the way she approached something and I was dumbfounded. This is before I had actually read this particular book.
Yeah.
And I had thought, who does this? Who approaches this situation like this? I was shocked that she was so unaware.
Yeah.
Because I would have done it so different.
Yes.
So differently. And so then when I looked and realized what her approach was, her color, I went, oh my gosh, she thought she was being helpful.
Totally.
Now, had she been talking to herself, I think
Right.
she would have. But for me, it was like, why would you approach me like that? That's not how I'm wired. And so you realize how you can actually both have good intentions and end up
Yeah.
offended because
Oh,
you don't listen to each other, or you don't have more conversation. Go, wait, I need this. In
so
fact, she was good. One time we were talking about something, I was venting, and she actually said, wait, do you need me just to listen, or do
oh,
you want me to give you answers? And I went, oh, that was a smart question. And I said, I'm doing that from now on.
yeah. Yeah. Because the truth is, you don't know. It's funny. I was talking to a client just like last hour. And I said, what's funny about you? You're out preaching to the world. I said, I get paid lots of money to tell people what I think. Do you know that outside of this room, I don't tell people? I don't do that. If they don't want to know, why would I assume to waste my time and their energy on things I'm going to preach at them? That seems stupid to me. But I said, you're doing this for free all the time and alienating people. Like, you think it's your job to do that. So
Mm.
I do think our listeners, your listeners, should understand that really one of the best questions ever is, what do they really want? What do they really need? Like, when a red is being bossy or directive, I get it. They got to get to be. And if I prevent them from that, shame on me. I'm not helping them. And it's personal to them. I could care less. I go to SLQ before I get to, I'm fine, right? So it's very selfish. If you understand that stuff, you know what I mean? It frees you up.
Yeah. You can actually have compassion for someone. I have a relative of mine, when I realized, oh, wait a minute, I think she's a red something combo. And I, being the yellow side of me, was very carefree and I wasn't paying attention. She was thinking, I can't believe you don't help. And I thought, help what? I didn't know what you were needed. I wasn't even aware of the need.
That's so good. That is so good.
And I went,
She's,
oh,
she's thinking, how dare you? I mean,
yeah.
come on. Yeah.
And now realizing I didn't even see the need. Now I needed to get better at oh, plus in the past dynamics, we have habits of the ways things were done. And I didn't realize between the habit and the way I'm wired, it did not occur to me.
Right. Right. It was not intentional.
No. And it took a while for that person to believe it wasn't intentional.
Because she's never that way, right? She's
Right.
always aware. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point. I think it's really good when somebody can actually see, they talk about emotional intelligence. And it's interesting, each one of my colors has a gift in emotional intelligence. So nobody really owns self-awareness, but whites own self-regulation. They manage their emotions better than anybody, right? Blues are the best at empathy. Reds are great at motivation, and yellows are excellent at social skills. So the truth of the matter is, you come with one of the 5 gifts, but if you don't develop all 5 of them, you're not emotionally intelligent.
That's good.
Got to reach outside yourself, right?
Thank you for saying that. And again, where can someone go to get more on that particular nugget? Because that's huge.
Yeah, the best way to read is I do a weekly podcast. That's the very best of living. Or the book, You Have the People Code. There's a new one out now. It's a 30-year anniversary. It's a combination of the people code and the character code, which is how you improve by taking on other gifts, right? It's actually a profile that you can take on. How are you today? How others see you. And then TaylorHartman.com. That's my website. So TaylorHartman.com.
Yeah. It's so powerful. I think if people don't realize they have a natural wiring and that
Right.
others people do too, and it's different.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? We assume everyone sees the world like we do.
Correct.
Why we think that is pretty shocking. The more you learn, you go, why on earth would I think that? There's the scientific, what is it, a sci-fi of, hey, maybe there's all these parallel universes.
Yes,
and I thought, nobody needs a sci-fi theory. The truth is, however many people are on the planet, that's how many universes are out there, because we see things different.
I really like that. I have thought about that many times. What would a world be of just yellows? Or
Oh my
a world
gosh.
of blues? I mean, think about it. They wouldn't work very well. And there are countries that have adopted a color as kind of their culture. And you can already see in that arena, like the Italians, they're definitely yellow is their culture. And the fun and the zest. And when you leave Switzerland white into this yellow country, it's all zigzag and fun. They also have things eroding all over the place, and they're just ignoring it, right? So that you have the plus and the minus, right?
Yeah. You truly do need to gain appreciation for other perspectives. Because to be honest, I think it makes life a whole lot more fun.
Well said. Much easier.
As a piece of my yellow apparently just came out right there. It's It is because you'd stop being frustrated with everyone not thinking like you instead of going, oh my gosh, I could be enjoying people so much more than
Yeah.
I ever used to.
What's so cool about that too is, let's say I'm a yellow and I decide to embrace a blue gift of yours. All it does is endear you to me. All it tells you is that I value you. So you
Mhm.
don't lose any ground by trying to speak the language of another person. You only gain ground every single time. And the other part is, I'll then start going, oh my gosh, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. So I appreciate you even more. Like, I worked on being thoughtful for 1 year. My blue wife says, oh, that's a tough one. And I said, okay, you wake up happy every morning. She goes, oh, that is harder. So what we take for granted, other colors would struggle with, right? It kind of makes you appreciate them, I think.
That's a big deal, especially when you think of all the and there's a lot of different reasons for it, but all the different maybe strife or the things and the, oh my gosh, the bad habits of finger
Right.
pointing, and it's like, wow, that is not gonna help you understand anyone. It just narrows your thinking and you end up miserable. Right or wrong, you're going to
Oh,
end up miserable.
I love that. Another phrase called 100% responsibility. And it says, I will do 100%, Lenora, whatever it takes to make our relationship work. I'm just going to own it all, not part of it. Because if I take 95 and you get 5, I go, see, you didn't do that very well. I blame you. But if I take 100 and I really do genuinely try and speak your language, I have more options now than I ever had before when I was limiting it, like you were saying, blaming, critiquing. So you're right. It's 100% right. It's much easier, that life.
It's funner, it's more enjoyable, it's eye-opening, it's honestly brought more just thorough enjoyment and respect for more people because you went it's like you cross your arms and you go, "Oh, wow, that's so interesting."
Yes, yes. It's a discovery that never leaves, by the way. Once people get this, like, you've learned this language, it just it expands your life, is what it does. Does not limit it at all.
It makes me wanna learn more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And appreciate what makes them tick. How is life for them through your eyes as a red? How does that life look for you? It's so much more entertaining than judging them.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, if red wants to get from A to B, if they understand other people better, they'll actually get there faster because they begin
100%.
to understand how to flex and how to be use various approaches or regard it. So they actually speeds up their process.
It does speed it up. In fact, the difference in a dumb red and a smart red are like night and day. They're like literally like light years apart. So, and the same with every color, like a lazy white or a productive white. They're just totally different people. They still have the driving core is the same, but they play life out very differently and they
Yeah.
impact people differently.
And like you said, the whites won't necessarily tell you, and if you ask them their personality because of the piece, they don't want to have the conflict, but their perspectives, if you
Is
actually ask them, you're like, oh, I needed to hear that.
It's so touching to me. I remember this white was at a retreat I was doing, and I'm telling you, every time he spoke, I had to say to him, "What did you say?" Because he was so quiet. I still, 25 years later, Lenora, I remember things he said that I would have missed 100%. There's no way I would have seen it. But his perspective was spot on. He never would have said it if I didn't say, "What do you think?" So enlightening me. It's just enlightening. I mean, there's not a color I like more than another color. That doesn't exist anymore. It was
Yeah.
at one point because the reds were irritating because I was not responsible. So I made it about them instead of me. But once you kind of get it, there really isn't a color you don't value. There really isn't.
No, you begin to see how it really matters. We need every single one of
Right.
these
Right.
driving motivations.
Right.
Absolutely. Or you could just massive gaps, things collapse one way or another.
Well, the
Um,
best teams have people of different colors because
yeah.
they see things differently, right? So if
Yeah.
you don't have somebody representing that, you won't hear it.
And these days, you, of course, knowing that the color meaning these motives, the way that you color for those labels, because when you talk about diversity, that's also a piece of diversity of perspective,
100%.
diversity of the how you would approach something.
100%. Actually, I honestly believe your core personality is more significant than any other factor in your life. Nothing else came first. Religion didn't, race didn't, nothing else came first. This comes in your womb. Like women that have given birth to more than one child, they'll tell you in that womb, that kid was unique. They were on their own, right? So you come with this, right? So getting to know and appreciate that first should dismiss a lot of the other disparity that goes on in how we see people.
Yeah, with one of my own kids who was just very responsible, very driven, and just expected to be really excellent, just quick, so fast, always. And often was, but when he wasn't, he was so hard on himself. And I remember one time literally saying, I don't know if it was early high school or something. And I said, don't, and I'm very responsible because here's a lot of largely blue. And I
Yeah.
actually said, don't do the homework. Don't turn it in. I pushed and I said it multiple times. He stopped and said, what mother says that? And I said, and I was shocked because I realized I would have never, ever thought that was something that would come out of my mouth is telling my child to don't do your homework, go to bed, don't turn it in. And I looked at him and I said, I'm just adjusting to the child that I have.
That's beautiful.
And it took the pressure off him. And he was like, hadn't even really thought of that as an option.
No.
And then realized actually he wanted to get it done. And so he quit wrestling with it and went, okay, now it's my choice.
I love that. What a great gift. And how unique is that, right? Some people are listening going, I wish I had that kid because my kid would never do anything. But you're right. You do it for the kid.
Well, my other one, when my other one was in like elementary, because my first one was so like the easy button, he was so responsible, so disciplined. I just assumed number 2 was the same way. And I was wrong. But this was early on, thank God. It was like 2nd or 3rd grade. A particular teacher who I didn't know wasn't checking any type of homework, any type of follow-up. I just assumed, like my first, that the second one was doing it. I found out she kind of decided in life, oh, if they're not checking, then I'm not responsible.
Doing it. Oh,
then that doesn't mean I don't have to. And I went, uh-oh, we got to have a conversation. And then she did come to find more of a balance, but it was hilarious when I discovered, oh, she's wired very differently.
Yes, than the first, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. My daughter that's red, right? She was the first child. And then my third daughter was yellow. My first daughter is brunette. My third daughter is blonde. They went to the same school, same blue teachers, 6th grade, gave the same report. My oldest daughter was everything. Student body president, just responsible, showed up for everything. A+. We liked it so much we kept the report. My yellow daughter comes along, not doing so well, struggling a lot, talks a lot in class. The teacher gives her, I said, you write the same report. Just copy it over. Tara's report, the red, use her report, turn it in under your name. C-, same report. So I walked into the teacher. I said, okay, let's talk about what's going on here. She goes, you are so right. She understood the people code. Wow. She goes, I get it. I've seen your oldest daughter as responsible and legitimate. Your yellow daughter I see as being irresponsible and playful. And I judged them and graded them based on that. Isn't that amazing? Wow. So it's very telling. We do make that judgment on people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's big.
Isn't that telling? She was so great. She still said, and by the way, your yellow daughter needs to write her own report now. I love it.
There's some truth there too.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, there's ripple effects in every direction.
Yes, correct. Good and bad, by the way.
Yes.
It's so important. If you're bitter, if you're upset, take some ownership as what's your role in that. Don't say to me, well, if you've been treated that way, you would have. I said, don't go there. I've seen people in the worst scenarios that have grown light years and other people that really weren't damaged as deeply as they think they were. And they stopped living, stopped growing, stopped believing. That's sad. So start with you, right?
That's big.
That's my role.
Wow. And I love this conversation. How would you recommend someone who doesn't know about this, and maybe the answer is obvious, but some tips on how do you get started? What would you do first to say, okay, I want to realize, how am I wired? I know you have an online test. Maybe that would be it. I don't know.
I would start with the online taylorhartman.com, and you take the profile, and it's so fun because people always say to me, like I do a lot of business consulting, well, why are you starting when I'm a child? I'm saying, because you're missing the point. The point is you came with this. So if you want to find out who you were before life wrote on you, go there, right? The character profile, that's for today, but your personality came at birth. So I would take that first. I'm with you. I'm sorry, but I'm a reader. I don't know why you wouldn't want the book. I think it's just a rich gift that you take with you forever, right? Mm-hmm. I would read the book next. That's what I would do next. Yep.
Nice. Well, anything that I've missed, what would you want to say about this as we wrap this time up, this conversation?
Well, I've enjoyed you tremendously. You're very engaging and very inviting. I'm grateful Thank you. As a yellow, I have to be honest, when I was teaching at the university and I came up with this theory, I was the first to tell all of my associates, you write the book. I don't want to write it. It's too much work. And every one of them said to me, you have to do your work. This is your gift. Now you have to pay your dues. And I went through 4 of them. I wouldn't do the work. I just would blow it off, call them late at night, say, I can't meet for breakfast. My wife is the one that got me to write the book because she said, we're not going to go out this weekend if a chapter is not written. My fun got hit. So when you said that you picked the book up, you learned about it, I am grateful to hear that because it was hard for me to write the book. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for your kind words. And thank you seriously for writing it, for having put in that effort. There's several books I have, several that are treasures to me, and yours is one of them.
Wow. Means the world to me. Thank you so much, Lenora.
You're welcome. Thank you again so much for being a guest.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.